All right, everyone, we got a good one on Top 5 tonight. We're listing our top 5 favorite album covers of all time.
Welcome to Top 5 with Joey Cassata. Starring Joey Cassata.
Team Jesus, my friend. Am I walking around, Mark?
Co-starring Ernie Palooza. And the Doctor, Tommy Snyder.
Goddamn.
Now here's your host, Joey Cassata.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Top 5. I'm your host, Joey Cassata.
And I'm Tawny Kitian.
Contained.
Oh,
Jesus. How are we going to get through this episode if you don't even know who that is? What?
She's on all 5 of my out. No, I'm kidding.
Who's on your shirt again? Who's that? Oh, you know what I was going to just call? You know what I was going to call her? I was going to say, is that Pachanga? Not Pachanga. That's Carlito's Way, right?
That's very close, though.
Oh, my God. What's happening, Ern?
Nothing. Nothing of interest.
We're doing a little afternoon recording session here today. I like this. Ernie is off. I'm happen to be not busy myself.
Well, from work today.
I am currently off. So we figure we get in a quick episode. I don't know how the hell we've never done this topic. I texted you and had to ask you because I was so sure we did it. I guess we didn't do it. How have we never done top 5 album covers?
I have my reasons.
Well, what are they?
Well, I think when you see the ones I choose, it'll make more sense.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I want to dive right in. We had last week off. We are back this week. As always, please send your emails to top5withjoeycassata@gmail.com. That's top5withjoeycassata@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of this episode at the end. Let us know your top 5 album covers of all time. I was actually texting people all last night, trying to get ideas, gauging people's top 5. We love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think your top 5s are, and let us know what you think of our picks. I can't wait to hear Ernie's. I would think maybe we have one duplicate. I don't think we have any. What do you think, Ern?
We might have. It depends on how much you're willing to divulge of your true nature, how brave you are in your choices.
Just so you know, I only go with my true nature. I'm not trying to please the people. I'm not trying to say what's the best album covers because that's subjective. I'm telling you my favorite album covers.
That go to your deepest impulses.
Oh, I know. Now I know where you're going. Well, on that note, why don't we start? What do you got at number 5, you disgusting animal?
Nothing disgusting at all about any of these choices. Number 5, the album was named Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. Where it looked like she was laying in heaven, just relaxing.
I can't picture the album cover, but I can only imagine what it is. Oh, God, I could see we're going downhill quick. Give us a little more detail on this.
Well, she's laying on her stomach, but she's so you're getting a certain view of her, and she's laying on top of a cloud. And there's a small part of a cloud that seems to be happened to be placed strategically, which is almost unfortunate.
Is your wife home today?
We shouldn't go. That's not.
Something tells me she's not in the house right now. And definitely the kids.
If you have never seen this cover, then you really can't respond
Well, the
That's
audience just saw it because I just
look at
put it
it
up.
as we talk. What?
What? You know what? Let me look it up quick. Tell me a little more about this cover.
Let me think. There's really not much more than what I said. I mean, I she's got to be in heaven, because why else would you be laying in clouds unless it's cotton candy? But I sincerely doubt that.
I see it. Oh, good heavens!
Exactly.
Is this her first?
Exactly. Heavens, yes.
Is that her
Perfectly.
first record or no?
No. Actually, she had an album even before she was called Katy Perry, when she was Kate Hudson still.
Isn't that the actress, Ernie?
That's why she had to change her name. But yes,
Oh, really? Can you
she put
tell me
out
one? Can you tell me one song on Teenage Dream?
yeah, Teenage Dream.
Oh, good heavens! All right, my number 5 is definitely not the direction you went, and maybe it is for some people. Who knows? Let's see. My number 5, maybe my favorite record by this band, "Screaming for Vengeance," Judas Priest.
No, I doubt it. We're going in the same direction.
Kind of the same, Ernie. Could,
No.
could you don't think my album cover does the same thing that your album cover does to people?
That album is for the birds, that cover.
Yeah, listen. I remember always debating with my friends because I was, like I said, I was never a big Iron Maiden fan, but I understood the coolness of their covers. I understood, the Eddie references and stuff. But I always was a bigger fan of the Priest covers, especially Screamin' and Defenders of the Faith. Those were my like two big Priest records, just because I was younger than, my brother's age and your age and stuff, who was probably deeper into like Stained Glass and British Steel and stuff. I was more into Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. So Screaming for Vengeance, just that yellow outline with this. I guess they're always like robotic. I don't even know how to describe it. I guess they're robotic imagery, right? Like it's giant robotic bird eagle coming down. It's just killer.
That bird is the Hellion.
Oh, the Hellion. Yeah, what am I talking about? Amazing.
And
There's no
believe it or not, my introduction to Judas Priest actually is Defenders of the Faith. But I was so into Defenders of the Faith. Oh, I'm not so much into it now, but as a 14, 15-year-old, it was wonderful. But I started looking backwards, and I do appreciate the backwards stuff now more than the Defenders of the Faith period. But there was a time that Defenders of the Faith was top of the line for me at one time in my life.
Oh, me too. I mean, listen, even Point of Entry, I loved those were 3 albums back to back, right? Point, Screamin', Defenders.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I became a Priest fan. So that's the stuff I always go back to. But I get the earlier stuff. It's great.
Yeah. I mean,
but there's no
Entry's British Steel, which is
there's no cloud on the cover of Screaming for Vengeance covering anything, Ernie.
Not necessary, I suppose.
Come on, I can't wait to see what number 4 is. Come on, what do you got?
Number 4 is very similar, but once again, the Katy Perry thing, it looked. What word do I want to use? It was obvious what they were doing with that cloud. It was almost like on purpose. This next one,
almost on purpose. It was on purpose.
Yeah. This next one, it's the same idea, but it really looks like just by accident, which makes it even more interesting. The name of the album is Ain't It Beautiful, and the group is ZO2.
Oh, you don't want to hear something funny? I almost picked one of them too, and I think that's the best one. I love that album cover. Obviously, anyone who doesn't know my band ZO2, that's a fun album cover. The only thing that I think we missed the mark with that album cover. So obviously we had our first record Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then the second one came out, and we wanted to stick with that classic pinup theme that just became our imagery for our band. And the first album did so well, we wanted to stick with it. I think the only place we went wrong, and we didn't realize it at the time, the color scheme is very similar to the first album cover, even though the image is different. I wish we would have went with a little bit of a different color scheme, just because the first 2 album covers just to the naked eye are very similar.
I'm not a big fan of the first title. I like your choice of words. Yes.
What do you think of those album covers today, Ernie? Are they too racy for today's world?
No, no, I think not. It ultimately doesn't show anything, but the second album, it's almost like coincidence that it doesn't show anything. It's like it's very intelligently done.
Oh yeah. So again, the artist that did those album covers, I think his name was Gil Elvgren. He was a famous artist. He actually passed away a while. I think he passed away in the 80s, but we've been using his artwork. We licensed it for the album covers for our merchandise. We just fell in love with his stuff. If people don't know, there might be a new ZO2 release coming soon. We're actually debating right now. We're trying to figure out if we should stick with the theme that we've gone through all these years, or maybe start something fresh. That's a good poll for today's show, Ernie. Write us in, send us a message on top five. What do you think? Should we stick with the classic pinup theme if ZO2 were to release something, or do we do something different? Whether it's a live shot, a band shot, or just something completely different. Let us know. Send it to top five with Joey Cassata at gmail.com. What do you think? Or what would your take be?
I think we should definitely stay. You should definitely stick with it. That you should give that girl a name, kind of like Eddie from Iron Maiden albums.
She has a name.
Oh, yeah?
She's Susie. Susie.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know if yeah, I think
Dude,
we officially named her, but I don't know if it's ever been written anywhere. But yeah, her name is Susie.
so this is ZO2 canon.
It is. This is. You're right. Speaking of old bands, Ernie, uh Playground is getting back into the studio on when are we going again? May 6th. So 2 weeks from now, Playground. I gotta start looking at these songs. I know DeVito's been rehearsing them for 2 months. I guess I should start looking at them, right, Ernie?
What is the over under that it actually happens?
I think it's definitely gonna happen. Whether we all show up is another story. Whether it's good is another story. So I think there's three levels. Is it gonna happen? I say yes. Is everyone gonna show up? I say 85%. Is it gonna be good? 50-50. What do you got?
That's the point spread there.
That's the point spread.
The big
Anyone who's taking bets, that's the big. Dean wouldn't mind taking some of this action, I bet.
Dean has made me has a shirt that he also made for himself. Dylan Panthers jersey.
No, did he really?
Yes.
I can't believe how fast he got through that series, Ernie.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, that's for sure.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, going back to me, number 4 for me. So this one, again, some of mine might be boring, but this one I just had to pick. My favorite Beatles cover, Abbey Road. And I know it's plain, I know, but it's so iconic. Whether it's iconic because it's the Beatles, it's just the imagery of that crossing and them walking the way they're walking. I could stare at that album cover for hours and hours and hours. And obviously all the rumors behind the album cover. What was the rumors? Paul's dead. He's a corpse. John is the priest, and George is the grave digger, and Ringo's what, the pallbearer?
Yeah, they are dressed like that.
But again, between you and I think it's all just people reading into this stuff. You know, what did the license plate say? Something with Paul's age and IF, right, or something like that.
28 if
right.
I think 28 if he had lived. Basically, he would turn.
What's
28.
some of the other stuff on there? Any other?
There's so much. I had somebody, a Beatles fanatic when I was a kid, bring this album over before I even had it.
Right.
It showed all the things, everything to the back of the album, the cracks in the bricks, even where the cracks are located. It's, I don't know if it's true or not, but I love it anyway. I find it very interesting and entertaining.
So you know what I actually got to read, if we go back to that Beatles doc that was on, I think it was on Amazon Prime, right? Because again, from what I read about the album cover years ago, I think they're literally just recording in the Abbey Road studio, which wasn't Abbey Road at that time, right? Wasn't Abbey Road Studios yet. It was, what was it? Just,
I don't know.
Anyway.
Abbey Road
EMI, I think, whatever, EMI Studios, I think it was. Anyway, they were just recording, and they went out front to do the album cover. And I think Paul had sandals on, and he didn't want to use sandals, so he flipped the sandals off, and he's walking barefoot. And I think that was just what they were wearing that day in rehearsal. And I'm curious, if we look back at that Beatles doc, I wonder if there's footage of them on the same day, because I think they were working on maybe She's So Heavy or something. I forget what the story was, the same day that they took the album cover photos. But I think the imagery was literally just them, the studio's here, them walking away from the studio, because I think they knew they were done.
I like that too. You know, She's So Heavy was stolen from Motley Crue. Was Slice of My Pie. Slice of Your Pie.
I did read somewhere that the Beatles lifted that from an old Motley Crue recording. You're right. Come on, what do you got? Number 3.
Oh, you're gonna have to look this one up. I know you don't know this album. It's a Roger Waters, excuse me, solo album called The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking.
Hold on.
And there's a picture of a hitchhiker on the cover.
I see it. Oh my God.
She has, she's hitchhiking. She's got the bag and everything. And she's basically hitchhiking. But I always like this cover, like always.
Again, for people who don't know, obviously I just put it up on the screen. Obviously, she's naked with just a backpack on, and there's a little black box over any inappropriate areas for an album cover.
I don't remember any black box when it came out.
What, is there really no black box? That's what I'm looking at.
No, the black box must have been added later.
Really? Oh, okay. All the black, all the stuff that I see. Oh, I see the regular one now. Oh, now
the girl's very pretty. A very nice personality too.
Ah, God, your poor wife. These are good ones. Listen, I'm glad you went this way, because obviously completely different choices than mine. I like, people to represent all ends of the spectrum here, Ernie.
And I got it.
Like that? I'm on fire today, baby. Yeah, I mean, listen, what year was that album, Ernie?
84 or 85. It was right after he left Pink Floyd.
So obviously, again, you're talking all of not the Katy Perry one so much, but this one, 84. What are you, 14 years old? You see an album cover like this, you're going into the record store just to go look at this album cover.
Yeah, looking through all the new records, and this one caught my eye.
I'm surprised. I don't know why. Weird.
It's coincidence, I suppose.
And then listen, that's why they did it. They were smart. A lot of the rock album covers too. Some of the I don't want to give stuff away, but we'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, listen. Obviously, this is the stuff that sold. I mean, ZO2 we didn't necessarily do it for that reasons, but listen, anything that's eye catching to me is a great album cover, because more so back then, because in a record store, people have to remember that don't understand. In a record store, you had all the old records that you'd have to sort through. That didn't matter. But all the new releases were on this big wall usually. I'm talking about strictly like Sam Goody in the mall that we used to go to, or the Wiz, wherever we went. All the records were on this big wall, all the new releases. So, you would just kind of walk back and forth, sometimes not knowing what to buy. And you would literally just look at album covers and go, wow, that looks like a good cover. Let me buy that.
That is how younger people actually back then shopped, believe it or not.
Yeah, we wouldn't know like what was, what the band sounded. We couldn't hear a sample of it, and none of that. You'd say, oh, I'll try this record. I mean, that's what I used to do, especially with like hair metal bands and stuff. When I was really into hair metal, I didn't know a lot of bands. I remember when the first Cinderella album came out, my brother got it for me he figured, oh, I'd probably like this because of the cover, because I was into a lot of that stuff. And sure enough, I loved it. But you didn't know what bands sounded like until you bought the album.
Eddie Trunk always tells the story about winning an album on the boardwalk in Seaside Heights as a little kid. And he was looking at the album covers and he saw Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. and he was just a little kid, and that really sent him on his way for his lifelong
Crazy.
thing. That's where it began, with that just coincidence.
Did he ever say what were the other album choices up there that he could have picked from?
No,
I'm so good. What year was Heaven and Hell, Ernie? 80?
yeah, that'd be a great question to ask him though. If you ever
Right.
get
That's a great, because what else? What else could have been funny that set him on a completely different path if he picked
that,
in 1980? That's great. You know what? I'm going to text him. I'll text him right when we get done. All right. My number three. My number three is semi-controversial as well for different reasons. So I kind of have a 3A and a 3B. I'm doing one of the old Ernie tricks where I get an extra pick in my number three slot here. So my original number three, technically it's not the greatest cover in the world, but I loved it as a kid because it was immediately banned and taken off the shelf. And I don't think it was banned necessarily more so that the band pulled it for certain reasons. And that's this band right here. One of my favorite bands of all time, Stryper. So they had an album called To Hell with the Devil. And the first incarnation of that cover was a cartoon, an illustration of the band as, these muscular angels pulling the devil, basically throwing him down into hell. And there was a pentagram. They were ripping the pentagram off of him, I think. And there was fire. It was a great cover. It was so cool because, again, I'm a comic book fan back then. It was such a great cover. But the story behind it was that Stryper, they were in a lot of Christian stores selling their records because they were a Christian metal band. And a lot of their fan base and stores that sold their albums wouldn't sell the album because of the imagery on the cover with Satan and the pentagram and all this stuff. Even though it was to hell with the devil, a positive message, they still wouldn't sell it. So they kind of immediately scrapped that cover after it was released and then just released that black cover with, the words on it. But that was my first choice. You know this cover, Aaron?
I don't remember the band cover. I thought you were going to mention Two Life Crew when you said a band cover or something like that.
But to go into my B slot of this, so the more recent Stryper album cover that I think is really one of my favorite, it is one of my favorite album covers of all time because it's really going to sit at my number three. To Hell with the Devil is kind of an honorary mention at number three, but my real number three is going to be an album that came out not that long ago by Stryper, Even the Devil Believes. And the cover is so great. They've had the same artists do their last 4 or 5 album covers, and they're incredible. And it's a picture of God on a big throne, and he's just majestic. He's a giant figure in this luminescent light, and in front of him, the devil is kind of kneeling, with the horns and the wings, and like this fallen angel kneeling in front of him. Hence the title, Even the Devil Believes. It's just a great, great cover.
Ooh. I know. So a great quote from Stryper is about my favorite group of all time, Black Sabbath. When the guy from Stryper says Black Sabbath song After Forever is more pro-Christian than any song we've ever written.
Right.
And Sabbath gets all this negative publicity, and they really shouldn't when you think about it, when they wrote a song like that.
But Ernie, tell me if I'm wrong. Is a lot of the Sabbath stuff not pro darkness, pro Satan? It's a lot of the other way, right?
No, it's anti
right
evil, but it's mentioning the guy.
Right. It's mentioning him a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously the tone of that old Sabbath stuff is very dark, very dreary. So people think, the song Black Sabbath, is that the very first song on the first record?
Yeah.
I mean, the opening, it's like a horror movie. The cover of that album and the opening of that album is like a horror movie. So people immediately associate it with evil, where it's actually the opposite.
Black Sabbath was a horror movie, but that's believe it or not.
Oh, before the band?
Yeah, that's where they got the name from.
Really?
Mario Bava.
I mean, the reason why I always associated with Black Sabbath with evil was because of the Doctor, because he loves Sabbath, and obviously we know the Doctor's evil.
That's how most of the world, because of this podcast, thinks of Sabbath. But
exactly.
Black Sabbath was around actually before this podcast was even came out.
Nobody's ever heard of them before us. Come on, Ern. What do you got? Number two.
Number two. This is an album that you're not gonna have to look up because I know you know it. I think we've even mentioned this cover before. Um, Invasion of Your Privacy
Oh, yes.
by the incredible, underrated group Rat.
I'm going to tell you, I agree with everything you just said. I think they are incredibly underrated. I don't think Rat gets the just due they deserve with the Poisons and the Cinderellas and, all these bands from that era. They're before that. Even, Van Halen and Quiet Riot and, all these Twisted Sister. Rat feels like they're forgotten. They're incredible.
Yeah, you hear a Rat song, it can be nobody else.
Agreed. With the vocals and the guitar sound, I couldn't agree. And they're right at the forefront. What year is that first Rat album, Ernie? 82?
Well, if you're talking about Out of the Cellar, it's 84, but there was an EP before that,
Right.
Which nobody knows too much about.
But so the two album covers before Invasion. So the EP one, you know the story behind the EP cover, right?
I barely can vision what the EP cover looked like.
Isn't the EP cover just the legs with the rats crawling up the legs?
Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
So you know the story?
No.
So the story goes, and I might be a little off, but I'll paraphrase it. It's a pair of legs, and all these rats are crawling up the legs. And for the album cover, they went to the pet store and got some rats, and kind of released them and tried to get them to crawl up this girl's leg. And I guess after they did the shoot and stuff, they're looking at the proofs, and all the rats they bought from the pet store were white. And there's one gray rat on the cover that they don't know where it came from. They think it was just in the place where they were taking the photo shoot and joined the other rats.
That's crazy.
Is that crazy?
Do you know there was a music video from the first EP, a song You Think You're Tough, and Ozzy makes an appearance in the video?
Does he?
Yep.
I know the song. I don't remember the video. I can't place it at all. How did they get Ozzy to do it from the EP?
I think Sharon Osbourne was their manager at the time.
Oh, okay.
I gotta look it up to be sure though.
But to go through the album covers, obviously, then Out of the Cellar, I think for a lot of reasons, is probably the more famous album cover than the one you picked, because that's Tony Katane's first album cover, right?
Yeah, I think Tony Katane is on both albums.
I don't think Invasion is Tony Katane. Invasion is someone different. It's a blonde girl. It's not Tony Katane.
No,
but I do agree. I think Invasion is the better cover.
It's a very pretty cover. Yes. The bedroom is all the window. Everything's so nice.
Oh, I remember staring at that cover for many, many, many hours as a kid.
Yep. And of
Great
course, it was
pick.
Age that came out.
Yeah, Invasion is what, 85?
Either 85 or 86.
Right. So I'm 11-ish. So yeah, that was a good album cover.
I knew exactly what they were singing about when they said "You're in Love."
Speaking of love, my number two. So I had to go here. Normally on these shows, I preface every show with, listen, every one of my top 5 picks can be Kiss related with almost every topic, even movies, because Kiss Meets the Phantom is going to be up there. But I purposely leave Kiss stuff off because it's a given that Kiss is going to always be my top 5 in most categories. This category, I couldn't leave them off. Kiss, to me, just because of their imagery, has some of the most iconic album covers of all time. And one of my favorites, and this always goes back and forth with the Kiss fandom, I always thought this album was way better than Destroyer. I know Destroyer is probably the fan favorite album cover by Kiss. I always liked Love Gun a little bit more. The Love Gun album cover, one, because I love the Kiss outfits during the Love Gun era. The girls all around, kind of looking up with them with the Kiss, with the kind of white face Kiss makeup on. And then the poses they do in Love Gun are just so much better. I think the Destroyer album cover, Ace has like this goofy pose like this. It's a little bit goofy. I don't love the pose on Destroyer. The Love Gun album cover to me is more superhero like.
Huh. But as far as the music inside, did you always like Love Gun better than Destroyer, even as a little kid?
Yes, Love Gun is probably, again, Love Gun, and again, I flip flop a lot with my favorite albums, but Love Gun, if Gun to My Head, is probably my favorite Kiss record.
Even
Non
even
live record.
even as a 9, 10-year-old, as a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Again, you got to figure 9, 10-year-old is still the 80s for me. So these weren't introduced to me as they're coming out. You know what I mean? I didn't get Destroyer as it came out. I didn't get Love Gun as it came out. 1977, I'm only 3 years old when Love Gun comes out. So I don't know Love Gun yet. When I first got introduced to Kiss, it was from Double Platinum. And then I went back and got those records. And the covers had a lot to do with why I loved the record back then. But Love Gun to me is just a stronger record. I know a lot of the hits are on Destroyer, but I always loved Alive 2 is actually my favorite record of all time. But if we're counting non-live records, Love Gun just to me it's a more solid record all the way through. And Destroyer, obviously nowadays it's overplayed a little bit, but I'll take Love Gun over Destroyer. You like Destroyer better?
Yes, but it as I get older, it does get closer.
And
However, Destroyer is the album for non-Kiss fans.
yes, of course. I mean, Detroit Rock City, Beth, Shout It Out Loud, King of the Nighttime World, Do You Love Me? It's God of Thunder. It's undeniably an incredible Kiss album. I just think over the years, if I could take myself out of everything, it's a burnout factor. I think a lot of that stuff is so overplayed now. And there are a couple weaker tracks where, to me, Love Gun, even though it has the last track, Then She Kissed Me, Love Gun has less weak tracks. Destroyer has Great Expectations, Sweet Pain, stuff like that to me is a little weak. Love Gun, besides Then She Kissed Me, every song is strong.
I don't know. You're going one song to two, and you're making it. That's real close to me.
It's and they're very close, but I'll put Love Gun on way more than I put Destroyer
on. Okay. Oh, there we go. I always look at it as like Black Sabbath's Paranoid. It's a Sabbath album for people that don't even like Sabbath. It's for everybody.
Yeah, agreed. If you're not a Kiss fan, I'm probably going to show you Destroyer first. Yep. All right, we're flying, baby. We're up to your number one, Ernie. Let me recap your disgusting list.
Nobody thinks it's disgusting.
You're right. Number 5, Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. Number 4, ZO2, Ain't It Beautiful. Number 3, Roger Waters, Pros and Cons of what again?
Hitchhiking.
Number 2, the Rat classic, Invasion of Your Privacy. And your number 1 album cover of all time is
Black Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
So how'd you change your theme here?
This is an album. Something incredibly terrible is going on in this album. I think it's a demonic rape or something going on, where the guy is not only trapped on the bed, but there's a live snake holding him down around his neck and everything.
Oh Jesus!
And the demons are all surrounding him, female demons. And something terrible is going on, really.
This is actually a pretty cool cover. I never actually looked at it enough to kind of, just because it's weird how they put the imagery all in that red tone, so it's hard to like decipher all the different stuff that's going on, but that is pretty wild.
Can you also get the back cover as well? Because it's like the back covers are like an after effect of like what has happened afterwards.
I'm looking.
It's almost a story as well between the front and the back.
Oh yeah, wow. That's crazy.
That is my favorite cover of all time. Is it a coincidence it happens to be my favorite group of all time? Highly doubtful. I'm sure I'm biased. But this cover of this album, as you just pointed out, there's a lot going on.
Oh yes. Yeah,
and it's a horror movie cover. Yeah.
Yeah. What year is that album, Martin?
73.
So even that, I wonder what was the reaction when that album cover comes out. I wonder if it was anything ever released like that up until this point,
That's a question I would love to find out. I don't know the answer.
because that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty graphic for back then, especially with all the Satan imagery, and I think there's a 666 on the cover, and pretty wild. I mean, nowadays it's nothing with all the death metal bands and horror movies and stuff. It would be nothing. It would be laughed at. But back then, I would think it's pretty. I mean, as a kid, what year was Rosemary's Baby? 69, 70?
68.
This was like a big horror movie. You see nothing in this movie. There's
That's
nothing. You never see a scary image in this whole movie. But something like this to come out 73. What year's The Exorcist?
73.
Yeah, so there you go.
Also, with this cover, you mentioned like it wouldn't be a big deal now, but everything that came afterwards, demonic, was always on a grand scale. This is a very private, personal moment
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
It's just you can relate to it more somehow. It's something terrible.
Yep.
I love it.
That's almost the imagery that I would say happened in my house when you were vomiting. It's kind of what I saw. I saw demons surrounding you. I saw you being pulled down. It was pretty creepy.
I was always thinking something similar was going on, but you didn't wake up fast enough when Tommy was choking you.
Oh yes.
You just didn't wake up fast enough to notice the other things going on. That's what this cover was.
For anyone who doesn't remember the story, we told it once on another episode. Me and the doctor hanging out at our friend Babel's house, slept over. Babel's only had air conditioning in one room, his bedroom. So we slept in the bedroom together in the bed. And Babels is an energy conserving, price freak. So he would always put his AC on a timer. So in the middle of the night, it like either shuts off or if it goes really low, and it was like 100-degree day. So in the middle of the night, it's like 90 degrees in the bedroom. We don't realize we're slowly getting cooked. And I wake up and Tommy is on top of me with his hands around my throat, and his other hand has my hair pinned to the bed. And I wake up, I'm like, Tommy, what are you doing? And he's got this evil look in his eyes. You're right, Ernie. He could have been going through this scene in his head.
Maybe it wasn't his hand; it was a snake around your neck.
Listen, if there was footage of the bedroom that night, something tells me all those demons were surrounding me.
Yep.
I don't know how the hell I got out of that alive. All right, back to my number one. Here we go. So let me recap what I got. Number 5, Screaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest. Number 4, Is Paul Dead? No way. Abbey Road. Number 3, A and B, To Hell with the Devil, Stryper, the original version. But the real number 3 is one of the new Stryper albums, Even the Devil Believes. Number 2, the Kiss classic, Love Gun. And my number 1, for many, many, many reasons, and I know it's probably cheating, I'm going with another Kiss record, Creatures of the Night. So again, this album had such an impact on me. Anyone who's ever read my book, I think I do a chapter on this album cover, because this was the first time we see Eric Carr with Kiss makeup on. Not only is the album cover great to me because it has like this blue tone to it, like this blue purple tone. Their eyes are glowing. Obviously, the iconic Kiss makeup. But the thing that really got me loving this album cover is it's the first and only time really Eric appears on an album cover in the U.S. And before this, up
all
until
blue, isn't it?
It's all blue, yeah.
All right, I know. I can vision it.
And up to this point, the Elder had come out already, and I knew there was a new drummer, and Peter Criss was always my idol, and I knew there was a new drummer, and I knew Eric Carr was the drummer because I read the liner notes on the Elder, but I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know if he was wearing Peter Criss's makeup, if he had makeup, if he had a different makeup. I had no idea. There was no internet. Kiss was dead at this time. They weren't really in a lot of magazines. So I had never seen what he looked like. And one day, again, back to Sam Goody and Kings Plaza Mall in Brooklyn in Marine Park, I'm looking, we used to just go to the mall every week with my mom shopping and stuff. And I'm looking through the old Kiss albums, and you know, I pretty much have everything at this point, so I don't really get anything. And then all of a sudden, I think my brother pointed it out to me, and he's like, "Is that the new Kiss record?" I'm like, "What? What new?" I didn't even know a new Kiss record was due. We didn't know back then. That you'd go to the store and you'd find one. That's how you knew an album was coming out. And from across the store, I can see this imagery, this blue cover with these 4 Kiss faces on it, and one of them I don't recognize. So I run over like a maniac. Again, I'm 8 years old at this point, and I'm losing my mind holding this record. And my mom is not in the store with us because she goes off doing what she's got to do. She goes, all right, go off shopping, go look around in the record store. We used to go to the record store and maybe Plumtree. Remember Plumtree, Ern?
Sure. All the t-shirts.
All the t-shirts, like metal, like patches I used to get for my jacket and stuff like that. And we didn't have money on us. So I'm 8 years old. My brother's 12, 13 years old. We didn't have money. So I take this album cover. Now, Kiss is dead at this point. Nobody cares about Kiss. I take this album cover up to the front and I said, listen, you have to hold this for me. I will be right back. And he's like, why? I'm like, I have no money. I got to go get my mom to get me money. And it was like, what was it? Album's probably $10 at that point. He's like, okay, but there's a whole stack of them over there. No one's buying the new Kiss record, kid.
No, I want this one.
I want this one. You hold this one. They're gonna, because in my mind they're gonna sell out. I'm gonna come back. They're gonna be gone. So I run around the mall. No cell phones. Me and my brother are running around the mall trying to find my mom in all the different shops. I think I find her in like Joyce Leslie or something like that. I pull her out, beg her for $10. Of course, we're poor. We don't have $10, but somehow she got $10 from me. Scraped it up, probably took it out of her pocket to buy what she was going to get for herself, gave it to me, got the Creatures of the Night record, stared at that thing for ever. I'm still staring at it. It's still in my studio right now. I have a giant, I'll show you if I can, a giant rug of the Creatures of the Night album cover.
Huh?
See it?
Yes, I do.
So it's a little altered because I have Vinnie Vincent on it, but still my favorite cover to this day.
Creatures of the Night.
Say again, Ern?
I said, Creatures of the Night. Creatures of the Night.
Yes.
From Rocky Horror Picture Show.
No. Different Creatures of the Night. And not only is it obviously a great album cover, but what a incredible Kiss record. Anyone who's out there that doesn't know this record, go listen to it. Immediately.
I'm surprised your brother didn't run back to Sam Goody and take all the albums and put it in different sections when you get back.
Oh, I would have killed them. I would have lost my mind. If I went back there and they were sold out, you would have seen a kid throw a tantrum like you've never seen before. All right, Aaron, what we are up to? What we got? Some honorable mentions? What do you got?
Similar to the Sabbath album, it actually tells a story. We look at the front and the back. The first Korn album, where it's just a little girl on a swing set, but
I know.
She's alone, and there's just a big shadow of on top, and she's looking up, and she can't even really, like the sun, she can't even see what she's looking at. Yeah, but something real bad is going to happen. And then the back of the album is just a picture. There's nobody there, just a swing set.
What's the name of that album?
Korn. It's the debut album.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's I love that they don't show what the hell that thing is.
Right, of course. It's
shadow.
Yeah, it's scarier that way, of course.
Absolutely more terrifying that way.
What else?
I like Two Live Crew, as nasty as they want to be.
I don't know. Oh God Almighty! I can't believe I have to look up all your album covers, and now my Google search history is gonna.
Now your wife is gonna have questions.
Oh yeah. What were you looking at? No, I'm about. Trust me, I'm going up straight to tell her what the what your album covers were. Oh God.
Did you find it?
Yes. Is that a good album? You like the album too, or no?
Oh sure. That was matter of fact, this is a crazy coincidence because the cover is so cool. When we all went to Seaside Heights for the first time I went away without my parents, I only brought 2 albums with me, and that was one of them. That and Black Sabbath's Paranoid. is all we listen to all weekend long.
Well, of course. What else could you need? Oh my God. One more. What do you got?
Me so horny was a big hit off the album, by the way.
Oh, I can imagine. You got one more or no?
Let me see. Nope.
All right, I got a couple. Again, these are not my favorites, but I actually wish some of these bands had better album covers. I always liked Van Halen 1 just because I remember I love the logo more than the actual imagery of the four band members because I don't love that Eddie doesn't have the classic guitar. You kind of can't see Alex. He's, they have like those swirls on them with the colors. But I just remember always loving the Van Halen logo. And that's kind of what I remember. I mean, I know the second album has the bigger logo, but the Van Halen, the first album logo is just so iconic. I always loved that album cover. I know a lot of people like 1984. I get it with the little devil, the little kid angel with cigarettes. I was just always so against smoking because my mom was sick from smoking and stuff. I never liked the cover because of that reason, but I get why it's a cool cover. What about any Van? I mean, 5150 is okay too. I wish Van Halen had cooler covers, or no?
Van Halen 1984 was a ripoff of the Black Sabbath Heaven and Hell, I thought.
Yes, I know that. You're right.
And that did bother me.
But just as a band like Van Halen, with the Hot for Teacher video and all these fun videos that they did, you would think they'd have some fun covers. Why don't they have a fun cover?
I don't know. They probably have no control over that, probably.
I would
Depending
think.
on what type of deal they signed to get started.
I mean, even listen, I get Diver Down is cool because it has like the image, the red and white, but it's so bland that by the time Diver Down comes out, they're the biggest band in the world. They can put whatever the hell they want on the cover.
That album was not their choice at all. They
There's
had no
covers.
That not even to make that album, Diver Down.
Yeah.
They wanted just time to make their next album, which was 1984. So they said, something, we're gonna release a single just to keep the record company happy.
Right.
And they released Pretty Woman as a single. And then it says, we need an album now.
Right.
And that cover is the symbol for a Diver Down, by the way.
Right.
That
That's probably my favorite. I know you don't care about this. Probably my favorite snare drum sound of all time on Diver Down. Killer.
It's very tight.
Stop it.
They really found the pocket with that one.
My two other ones, again, back to logos. Twisted Sisters, Can't Stop Rock and Roll. I always loved the Twisted Sister logo. I was a ridiculous Twisted Sister mark back then. Love the band, still do. But that I never loved the Stay Hungry album cover, just because I always thought, why the hell is it just D with this bone? It should be all of them. Because I love the way they looked. I loved all the colors in the videos, the We're Not Going to Take It video and stuff. With all of them had their color schemes and their outfits and the makeup. I loved the way they looked, but I hated that they only used D on the front cover. That's why I always loved Can't Stop Rock and Roll with just the logo, the classic logo. Much better. And my last one, not that it's one of my favorite, but I like the imagery of the Metal Health album cover. I like Quiet Riots. I like the mask. It was cool. I liked bands back then that you knew that was Quiet Riot, the mask. Maiden had Eddie. Priest had these weird robotic things. I kind of, obviously Kiss had the makeup. I liked bands that you knew when you saw an album cover, you didn't even need to see the logo. You knew it was them. And that's kind of why I like the ZO2 pinup girl. You see his album cover with the pinup girl. I hope you would associate it with ZO2. You know what I mean?
I call her Zuzi now, but yes. Zio, Zuzi.
No, Zuzi, Susie.
Oh,
Zuzi. Oh, good heavens.
Just because we're talking about the Stay Hungry cover, if you get like a real close-up of Dee Snider's face, and then get a real close-up of the Twilight Zone of William Shatner, when that goes right up to the
that would probably have scared Shatner more.
you're gonna see not much of a difference, believe it or not, between those two faces.
That's amazing. I'll do a split screen right now. This was a good one, Ern. I don't know how the hell we missed it. I know we didn't have any other guests today. Back to the classics, just me and you. We're filming this in the afternoon, which is absolutely marvelous. We got through this super quick. Love the quick episodes. Tell us what you think of our picks. Tell us what you think of Ernie's picks. Whose picks are better, Ernie's or mine? Send your emails to top5withjoeycassata@gmail.com. You can get all our merch on amazon.com. We got the Ernie shirt. We got the Doctor shirt. We got the Top 5 logo shirt. We got the Joey shirt. We got Z-Rock shirts up there. Wrestling with Joey Licious shirts up there. You can get my books. All the stuff. Just type in Joey Cassata on Amazon. All that stuff will pop up. What do you got, Ern? Any last words?
Tell us whose album picks are more moving.
You're disgusting. Good night, everybody.